Hello, Goalball family. It's Stephen, Catherine, and Tom here with your weekly positivity program update. Last Monday, we had a great video from Jodie regarding nutrition during lockdown. If you missed it, as with all of our Mindset Monday videos, it's available on our YouTube channel.
I followed Jodie's advice and made a healthy swap, choosing a bowl of fruit over a bowl of ice cream. Stephen made sure that he always had a bottle of water nearby to ensure he stayed hydrated. And Tom?
Well, let's move on quickly from that. Our Workout Wednesday session, which was a mixture of cardio and core exercises, was expertly delivered by Yusuf from Birmingham Goalball Club.
Now, at this point, we would normally tell you what went on with our fun Friday activity. However, we need to be honest and say that we're actually recording this on Friday morning instead of Monday morning, so we've not had our games night part 2 just yet.
Based on previous weeks, though, we're going to have an educated guess and said it was great fun with Sam Goff winning, as she usually does, Jamie Bunyan making us all laugh, as he usually does, and Tracy's dogs causing chaos, as they usually do.
So, on to week 5. Today's Mindset Monday video is from Hannah Levi, who is a sports psychologist supporting the GB Women squad, and Antonia Bunyan, who plays for RNC and GB Women. They talk to us about a timeline task, which is used for reflection and goal setting. Over to you, ladies.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Levi. I am a sports psychologist and I've been working with the GB Women's Goalball team.
Hi, I'm Antonia. I'm an athlete in the GB Women's squad.
So today we're going to be talking about a few of the psychology tasks that the team's been working on over the last few months. Antonia's going to give us some examples of some of the stuff she's done and what she's found useful. So to start with, what is the most useful off-court activity that you've been doing in lockdown?
It's got to be the timeline task that we've done. So basically it's where you basically write out the timeline of your career as an athlete so far, and you then split it into like positive and negatives, and then from there you pick out something that points out or like a pattern or a trend, and then you have questions that go from there to sort of feed onto it and sort of look at the psychological aspects of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was just a matter of reflecting, wasn't it, on all the kind of big events that's happened in your goalball career and trying to look at it from a kind of a bigger picture perspective and pick out patterns and maybe things that you can learn from whether it's mistakes or things you've done well over the course of your time. You mentioned the sort of questions afterwards. What part of that was useful for you? Were there any of those questions particularly that stood out for you?
I think it was there was a question about pattern and trends, and for me there was a really big trend within my timeline, and mine basically was that I didn't give myself enough time to recover, and that was sort of like a main thing that I spotted. And then also from that sort of brought up other things such as like, what can I do, and like what can I commit to doing to make myself better and to stop making like the same mistakes, for example. And I think that for me was like almost like a realization.
Yeah, and I think also we shared that, didn't we, with the rest of the team, and each member of the team did it. So it was a really powerful experience because everyone went through their kind of what they've reflected on and what they've learned, and we worked together on how we can sort of support each other through making those changes. And from a psychological perspective, what was really happening is we were looking back on stuff in the past, reflecting on it, being really kind of open-minded to that. And then the whole idea of committing to change was kind of focusing on the present. What can we control? What can we do about it going forward? How can we focus our energy and our time on controlling the controllables rather than focusing our time on things that we can't really control?
Exactly. Yeah, I think one of the biggest sort of things that I took from that controlling the controllables and like setting goals almost, during my period when I was injured, that was probably the most effective time I actually used it. I used something really simple, which was literally icing my wrist every single day. Like that was a controlled goal. and it was in my control, because there were so many things out of my control. Rather than wasting energy on the things that I can't control, I put energy into things that I can, like icing my wrist, like helping my recovery and all of that thing, and that sort of helped get through that period of time without added stress.
Yeah, I remember we had quite a lot of conversations around in your case with your injury, you obviously wanted to get better, which a lot of people do when they're injured. Mm-hmm. But in terms of your actual muscle recovery, it's kind of out of your control. You might be told you'll recover in 4 to 8 weeks. That's a big difference. That's because a lot of it's out of our control. So it was a matter of breaking it down, wasn't it, in terms of like smaller goals, things that you can control. Like you said, icing it every day is something that you can control. You can't necessarily control the outcome or the speed of recovery, but you know that that's helpful. So it's about focusing on those kind of small things that we can control, which I think, especially in the current climate with the pandemic and everything being so unknown at the moment, it's really important for us to be focusing on the smaller things that we can control. And in terms of thinking about moving forward and setting goals, which are really important, it's good to think about maybe things that are more focused on outcome and maybe a little bit out of our control. For example, achieving a medal or something like that. There's lots of things within that that's out of our control. It's still useful to think about, but it's really important to break it down to think about what can we control within that. And I think that's kind of what you were doing, wasn't it? Like your end goal was the recovery, and how can we break that down into smaller things? I guess right now in the pandemic, it's really, really important because there's so much that's out of our control. So do you have any examples of stuff day to day now that you're focusing on, like those small goals that you can control?
I think for me, one of the biggest ones is being in the pandemic, you lose your routine, and then a lot of things sort of fall through with that. One of the goals that I've sort of set myself was just drinking 2 liters of water every single day. It's such a small goal and such a simple thing, but it ensures that I'm keeping well hydrated throughout the day. And the reason why it works is because it's so specific. Like, it's not, I'm going to drink water every day. It's, I'm going to drink 2 liters of water every day, which means you have a goal to like get to by the end of the day. I think another one that would be quite good would be like, I don't know, like going for a walk. Something like, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk 3 times a week. I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You've set when you're going to go. You've set how many times you're going to go that week and how long you're going to do the walk for. And then when you do it, you're going to obviously feel good because you're like, oh, I've achieved my goal. I've done my goal for this week.
That's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head with the 2 kind of really important bits of making sure that you set goals in a really, really good way. Is really specific, as you said. So if you're going to go for a walk, not just saying I'm going to go for more walks, being really specific and clear with yourself, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you've planned it almost. And then the second part around like the measurable. So rather than saying, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to go for more walks, you've set, an exact amount. That helps with motivation because it helps you work towards something. If you're working towards something, it keeps you motivated to try and achieve that goal. And in the current climate at the moment, having those small goals and then achieving them gives you that sense of achievement when maybe at the moment people feel like they're not achieving too much.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I think having goals, like you said, it's so important. And to be honest, I think you'll feel like you're more in a routine when you have these goals, because they'll almost become second nature. So then they won't feel like a goal. I know when I was like, I've said before about my wrist, like when I was icing it, it became just normal. It just became natural for me to ice my wrist every day. I didn't even think about it. And they're also good habits to start implementing into your like routine. Yeah, I would 100% be doing something like that now.
I think that what I was talking about a bit before with the kind of bigger outcome goal that may be out of your control, I think sometimes it's really good to figure out what that is. What are you working towards in the long term? What's the bigger picture? And then working backwards and think, okay, how can I achieve that? What do I need to do on a daily basis to achieve that long-term goal? So that it's always there at the back of your mind. You know, and you're aware of, and you're constantly reminded of, this is what I'm working towards. I'm not just doing this for the sake of doing it. It's kind of, I know that I'm working towards this bigger goal, and this is what I need to do to break it down.
Definitely. I also think as well that, like, when you're you know, for example, if you did the timeline task, or you were looking at the long-term goals, it's not just about you, as in you're doing it all on your own as well. You know, you can get people within your bubble, like teammates, friends, family members, to help you along that journey as well. And I think that's really important, to have that support, especially, you know, during this time in the pandemic. It's not, you know, you're setting these goals, but you could be doing it as a family, and that brings you together. That makes things feel normal, feel more natural, and maybe it would help you along that goal journey as well.
Definitely. And I think that you can, even if we go back to the example of going for more walks and stuff, the classic example is, you know, setting yourself a step goal, so like 10,000 steps or whatever it might be. And it might not necessarily only be people in your household at the moment. It might not just be your family. It might be with friends, and there's loads of apps and things, or even if you just track it yourself, if you set yourself group goals. The other thing that you could do even is arrange to, like, speak on the phone to a friend. So you're in it together. You're both going for a walk in your respective places, but you're both going out for a walk at the same time, and planning that in, so you get kind of that social element, and you're kind of completing the goal, and you feel like you're doing it together. And that's kind of part of the reason why we shared it amongst the team, wasn't it, Tone, to support each other through stuff. And, you know, if you were recognizing that sometimes you didn't give yourself enough recovery with injuries, other people could step in and kind of try and support that process. So I agree. I think it's really important to try and share those goals. It also helps you achieve them more if you share them with other people, because you've said you're going to do it. So it makes you feel like even more inclined to actually do it. So that's also good for motivation.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks for that. Some really great advice there, such as control the controllables. I also like the idea of setting specific and measurable goals to help with routines and achieving success.
If you're not able to join in with our regular workout Wednesday session, or do but still have lots of energy left, why not set yourself a daily, weekly or monthly goal?
Goals just don't have to be fitness based. For example, Louisa's goal could be to listen to Radio 1 for 1 hour each day this week in preparation for this week's Fun Friday music quiz at 5:30 p.m.
Finally, for this week, just to let you know that next Monday, the 15th of February, we are doing another timeout. The focus this time is going to be on officiating, and taking part will be myself and Robert Avery. It will be an opportunity for you to hear about our refereeing experiences and ask any questions you may have from a player's, coaches or fellow officials' perspective.
Have a good week, everyone. I'll see you next week.